Welcome to Beyond the Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Layla Haishaw, founder and CEO of the nonprofit Diversity in Dentistry Mentorships Incorporated. In this podcast, our Huddle, we bring together successful dentists of color to encourage, empower, and educate our mentees to be competitive candidates to successfully get in, get through, and thrive beyond dental school. Are you ready to be inspired into action? Then you're in the right place. Let's huddle up. The inaugural season of the Beyond the Smile podcast has been brought to you by our sponsor and partner, the Benco Dental Family Foundation, the philanthropic division of the Benco Dental Company. I am so excited to introduce you to a powerhouse in dentistry. Dr. Sonia Chopra is a tooth saver, board-certified endodontist, TEDx speaker, Forbes contributor, author, endodontic instructor, and founder of Ballantyne Endodontics in Charlotte, North Carolina. On top of running her thriving practice, Dr. Chopra provides groundbreaking digital education and community support to general dentists and endodontists who want to uplevel their technical skills, patient experience, and practice efficiency. Through her thoughtfully designed courses and in-person programs, such as her award-winning eSchool, she is revolutionizing endodontic continuing education through the simple, tangible lessons rooted in her own diverse experiences. I have to tell you, you will love this interview. She is going to share so much on business entrepreneurship, work-life harmony, and forging her own path when barriers stand in your way. So, let's huddle up. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back to our last episode of our inaugural season of Beyond the Smile Huddle, the podcast of the nonprofit Diversity in Dentistry Mentorships. It's been a wonderful season just speaking to so many dentists of color, of diverse backgrounds to share their experience, their passions, and really inspiring our next generation of diverse leaders in dentistry. And I could not think of a better, more inspiring dentist to join us on our last episode this season, Dr. Sonia Chopra. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Chopra, you are a board certified endodontist, TEDx speaker, Forbes contributor. You're an entrepreneur. You have had this innovative digital creation course of teaching general dentists and endodontists how to really improve their skills to be what we call you the tooth saver and to save more teeth across the country and the world. And I know you're a sought after speaker and thought leader. So the fact that you are here just to give back in this way really does mean a lot to really guide our and inspire our mentees. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my absolute pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I will definitely share the TEDx link to your presentation, which was so great. I mean, really the first of its kind I've seen that really takes kind of a scientific topic like endodontics and make it so relatable for just the public to really understand the importance of saving our teeth, being advocate for yourself in your dental care, and then how it affects cost of healthcare and then
Yeah.
what to do in an emergency as well. And you share a very personal story that really just ties it all in, explaining what really drove you into being a dentist and later specializing in endodontics. So would you mind, I know you shared the story, but can you tell everybody about that?
Yeah. So I always say I was born to be a dentist because I was born without 8 teeth. I was missing my maxillary laterals, my mandibular second bis, and my 4 wizzies. And so, my mom, before I went to college, she was really like her goal was to make sure I had a full complement of teeth. So I got a lot of dental work done the summer after I graduated high school. And then soon after that, I started developing a toothache. And that toothache was undiagnosable to many. I ended up
Mhm.
seeing my dentist and he thought it was something else like trigeminal neuralgia. I ended up seeing like 7 different
Oh my
specialists
goodness.
between dentists and medical professionals. And nobody could figure it out. So
Mhm.
diagnosis has been my shtick. And I've really, that's really where I feel like we need more education, because what happened in the end, just to make a long story short,
Yeah.
that toothache was then referred for an extraction. I actually wasn't given the option of doing a root canal and meeting an endodontist at that point in my life. I didn't know what one was. They
Oh my
sent
goodness.
me directly to get my tooth extracted. Well, I got my tooth extracted. I felt great while I was numb. And then the anesthesia wore off and I still had my toothache because they pulled the wrong tooth. They thought it
Hold
was
on.
one tooth when it was another. So referred pain was a little stinker in my story. And then they realized, okay, well, she was born without the tooth adjacent to this. We just took out this tooth. We can't take out another one. And then I
Mhm.
was referred to the endodontist. My question was this whole time, why wasn't I referred to the
Right.
endodontist from the first place? So you can't reverse it at that point. So
Mm-mm.
we ended up, I had a root canal on my tooth, and my endodontist saved my life. I was in so much pain. It was like a 9-month saga. And
Oh my goodness.
I loved his demeanor. He was like this cool guy. Like he had a ponytail. His practice was like in this old house. He was just a
Oh, really?
cool dude. But how he educated me through that whole appointment and told me what was going on with my body and made me trust what was happening to my body, like really had a huge impact on me. And I was like, I want to be that when I
Right.
grow
Yeah.
up. I want to be that. Like, I loved the way he took care of me. And that little piece of education in those moments with me really made a huge impact. And
Wow.
then that made me become a dentist. Well, actually, I'm Indian, so I only had 4 choices of what I could be when I grew up. Okay, so I was either supposed to be a doctor, dentist, lawyer, or engineer.
Engineer.
That's it. So my fate was determined by at birth, and because of my experiences as a dental patient, I picked dentistry. My whole family's doctors, so my brother and my
Mm.
mom are both physicians, but I picked dental. And then when I was in dental school, I was really trying to figure out what happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was my tooth story? Why did that, what were, and now I'm like, okay, this is it. And then
Right.
that's why I became an endodontist specifically in dentistry. So
Wow. And it just sounds like the endodontist just took the moment to really listen instead of just
yeah.
jumping to
Well,
something.
it's
I mean,
interesting because he
yeah.
was the second endodontist I was referred to
Oh,
in that saga. The first one, like I
oh my.
was swollen. I had a cellulitis because it was lingering so long. It was a mess.
Oh, yeah.
And the first endodontist threw his instruments up and said, I can't treat her. She's a basket case. And I was like, oh shit, like now what? Like there's only
Yeah.
2 endodontists in my whole town because I was from a small town.
Oh
And
my
then
goodness.
I got referred to the other endodontist, and wow, what a difference in
Yeah.
demeanor and
Yeah.
oh, just really told me what good bedside manner is, you know?
It really is. And, recently I've been, speaking a lot on just mitigating biases in dental education and in our profession. And we all have biases. Yes. It's just a matter of being aware of them so we can make sure we're mitigating them and not offering certain treatment to other patients based on either their race or sex or I mean, gosh, I just wonder with you being a female, do you feel there was anything there or your age that they just weren't giving the time or if it really was that difficult?
Again, the referred pain was really bad. Like I remember
Mhm,
thinking that it was tooth number 19. I remember
mhm,
thinking it, but
mhm.
it was 18 the whole time,
Yeah.
right? And it just, and the pain was excruciating. So I was
Mhm.
not myself. So I don't really know. I feel like
Yeah, yeah.
I was drugged up on all sorts of stuff. And
Oh,
so I don't know. I think my age definitely had something to do with it. I think,
mhm.
they
Yeah.
just chalked me up as like a little girl, not really
Yeah,
knowing,
yeah.
which seems to be the story of my life throughout my
Oh,
career. Because I still
right.
look little.
I know it can be a blessing and a curse. Yeah, I always
Right.
remember like, I gotta look older, they're not gonna take me seriously."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Got that
But
all the
no, yeah, because
time.
I remember you sharing a story, coming out of residency, all these credentials, but yet it was a challenge finding a job, and that's what led you to start your practice in,
Yeah, I couldn't.
Ballantyne, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't find a job. Nobody would hire me. And I was like, wow. okay,
Mhm.
well, it's either unemployment or start my own practice. Like I really only had two choices. And I
Mhm.
think deep down, I really did want to start my own practice because I was an associate as a GP. I worked in New York City for a few years before I did my endo residency, and
Mhm.
I did not enjoy my time as an associate. And I knew in the end that I would have to. Could probably only
Right.
work for myself in the end,
You just knew
Uh-oh.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, great, great, great. Yeah, sorry. Just a little lag there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can now. We're
Oh,
back.
perfect, perfect. Yeah, no, New York, that must have been fun, but yeah, I don't know. You're ready to settle down, start the practice, and so you could run it the way that you knew was the best way to run it. Just advocate for patients and probably the time you could have with them, and just really build what you had dreamed of, building a practice that grew, and you had associates. Tell us a little bit about the journey of building the practice, and then deciding to also to add to your already full plate this curriculum and course, online course, and then you also have in-person training for dentists. Tell us about eSchool.
Yeah, so eSchool is interesting because it really was a product of burnout from my practice.
Uh,
I,
mhm.
which
There.
is kind of hard to believe now that I look back at it. I'm like, no, I was overworked in my practice,
Mhm.
and my practice was growing and it looked great from the outside, but internally I could see, I was like, oh, this is kind of a mess. That's totally different now,
Mhm.
but I needed to kind of get away from my practice and do something else like eSchool because I had this burning passion inside of me. I was like, I'm helping all these people in these four walls, but I really want to take this beyond the four walls.
Wow.
I knew I had something else in me. And I knew that the people of Charlotte weren't the only people who really needed to learn this. I figured if my community was, I was seeing my own tooth story in my patients. And so I
Mm,
knew that the education like needed something. And
yeah.
that didn't mean just for Charlotte. So I really thought big, right?
Wow.
And I had this burning passion, and it literally just flowed out of me into this course. And at first, it was just an online offering where I taught general dentists how to really master their endo game. But
Mhm.
I acknowledge that a lot of people can't just learn that way; they need to do hands on. And I know in endo, working on extracted teeth really doesn't correlate to real life. So I figured out a way to make a live patient hands-on course, which is not
Wow.
just an
Yeah.
education piece for dentists. It's actually a community give back program to my Charlotte people because these
Oh,
patients,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
they pay $100 for the root canal and the buildup together. It's cheaper than
Okay.
dental schools. And a
Wow.
lot of these dentists they're doing 4 root canals in that weekend, which is more than the graduation requirement in some schools.
Oh
So
my goodness, really?
yes.
Wow.
But they do it after the online program, right? So
Mhm.
you learn the stuff the theory really well, and then you
Mhm.
come and you implement on
Mhm.
patients under my watch in my practice, and you're saving teeth that would normally be extracted for financial reasons in the meantime. So to me,
Wow.
it's like a beautiful marriage of all my like giving hearts. Like it
Oh,
really is.
absolutely, absolutely. Oh, what a gift. What a yeah, you're right. Definitely a gift to the community. And then also just to compound just the experience of dentists to be able to serve their patients more
Yeah.
effectively, efficiently.
Yeah.
And
If
just
you
I
think
mean,
about it,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I get
No, not at
really
all.
excited.
I'm excited with you.
Like the way I like kind of share it with my referring dentist is like, hey, these patients are now going to have more funds for that crown, because they're
Oh, yeah.
saving so much money on the root canal.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and it is helpful, definitely for the patient to be able to stay in the practice and get all the work done instead of being referred out, and be able to get that done, save time and money for them. So it is a benefit all the way around. And endodontics, I will tell you, that was one of the things everybody says, why'd you decide on pediatric dentistry? It's like, well, I knew I couldn't do, and I said couldn't, but I just didn't have I couldn't do endodontics in dental school. It wasn't that we could do it, but we didn't have that experience on patients. So I didn't feel confident enough to want to do that. So, and I just love the kids. That was maybe a poor example. But for many, many general dentists who do go into general dentistry, sometimes they, like you said, don't have the requirements necessary to really build up that experience and confidence. So it's nice to have a continuing education in a format like you've presented, so they're not having to travel all over country, shut down their practice, not be able to serve their patients while they're in the CE course. So thank you. I think it's great. And I know more and more dentists are finding out about it, and it's growing. So it's just amazing. It's just so innovative. So fantastic. And I know we have some mentees on the line that probably has some questions about endodontics. Before I go on to my next question, does anyone have any questions? We're here in the huddle with some of our diversity and dentistry mentorships mentees. So feel free to come off mic if you have any questions for Dr. Chopra at this time. No? I think she's having I know earlier, we were asking, like, what's the number one, like, advice you would have for dental students? Or were you trying to get off mic there, Luma?
Yes, that's what I was trying to ask. Because you
Go ahead.
mentioned you
Mhm.
mentioned that for most general dentists, since dental school teaches us to be general dentists, what if you could go back? What is like one thing that you can do as a student to make you better in endo, aside from an engineering degree? Because they told us it's like a lot of like measurement and precision.
Sure.
Aside from that, what is like one thing that will make it better?
Well, I think diagnosis is king in dentistry. It's not even just an endo. It will take your practice so far. And what I encourage everyone to do is make sure you do your diagnostic tests on every patient that you touch, your endodontic diagnostic tests in every patient that you touch in dental school. You may think it's overkill, but it'll give you this practice, right? Because 80% of your patients are going to seek you out because they're having pain in the real world. So you need to know what kind of pain that is. It's not always endodontic pain. Sometimes it's perio pain. Sometimes it's oral surgery issues. Not every periapical lesion is an endodontic lesion. So knowing which one is which, because even if you don't do any endo, I always tell people you're always doing endo. Why? Because even if you're just writing that referral slip and giving it to the patient, if you give that referral slip to the patient and it's going to the wrong specialist because you didn't make the right diagnosis, you're going to lose that patient in the referral process.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's harsh. And you probably won't even ever know because nobody tells anybody.
Yeah.
So if I have people who come to me and I'm like, I have to send you to the oral surgeon because this lesion actually needs a biopsy. It has
Oh, wow.
nothing to do with an endo issue because that tooth is vital.
The
So
tooth is
really
alive.
having a deep understanding of endodontic diagnosis is key. And then when you know that, you can also really understand dental emergencies even better. And when you know how to manage and triage your patients in an emergency situation, that's when you win that patient over. And that's how you build your practice. It's a beautiful thing. So my advice is endodontic tests on everybody, cold tests everywhere.
You get an EPT test, or you get a cold test. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great advice. And just
Yeah.
remember that definitely for our dental students who are just starting out, and even our new dentists just coming into the workforce. That's great. Do you have a favorite new technology that's out now in the world of endodontics?
I do. I will say the best technology is still probably EndoIce, but
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with my trifecta. There are three pieces of technology that I can't live without. It is number
Uh-huh.
one, my microscope, which is how I started my practice. And then a few years into that, I adopted a cone beam, and now I love that. And then a few years after that, I adopted the gentle wave, which is like
Mm,
it's a irrigation system essentially that
mhm.
degasses, like instead of doing a hand irrigation, you use this machine that runs the hypochlorite and the EDTA through the tooth via sound waves. But first
Oh,
it pulls out all the gas. So all the bubbles that could prevent your irrigation from going to the apex, it degasses all that fluid, and then it takes the sound waves and pumps all the irrigation through. So it gets into those anastomoses. And we're seeing anatomy that is cleaned and obturated like no other. So I'm a tooth saver, right? So anytime
Wow.
you think that a tooth is not working, or like the root canal is not working, or it's
Yeah.
cracked,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually probably bacteria that's still in the tooth.
That
And
didn't get all cleaned out.
when you
Uh-huh.
retreat it with the gentle wave, I mean, we're just saving so many more teeth than we ever thought possible.
Oh, wow. That is really amazing. Yeah, I mean, and dentistry and for sure root canal specialists have a bad rap, just with people have, made this horrible nightmare about how barbaric root canals are. Like I'd rather have a root canal than do something, but
You know,
it's not that at all. It's such a comfortable procedure.
it really is. My patients fall asleep all the time.
Yeah, yeah. When it's done right. Well, that's
Yeah.
great. And you're helping dentists make sure that they're doing it right. Now you are so busy because you are also a working mother. You have a beautiful family. I would just really love for you to share a little bit about how you are finding balance between practicing and your practice, teaching the world about saving teeth, then also being there for your young kids.
Yeah, so it's really funny. Everyone assumes I'm always busy. I am always doing something, but I'm not as busy as people think. I've done a really good job at managing my time
Mm-hmm.
and being as efficient and productive in less amount of time. So I used to work 5 days a week at my practice, and now
Hmm.
I work 6 days a month, and I produce the same amount of money
Okay. Wow.
in
Yeah.
less time, which is the sweet sauce, because now I have time to do things like e-school and hang out with my kids. And when I'm doing e-school, which is nice, I get to make my own hours. I can drop my kids off at school, work while they're in
Right.
school, and then pick them up from school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, I've learned to just make sure that I have good teams. I have good teams at the office. I have good teams at e-school. I have good teams at the house.
Good.
I
Mm-hmm.
I even have somebody who makes some of my meals every week, so I don't have to do it because I'm not very good at it. So wherever
Yeah.
I'm not good, I hire somebody to help me so that I don't have to be so busy.
Oh, it's true. It takes a village. I always say,
It
and I
really
just had this
does.
conversation with a new practice owner, new dentist, and I was like, well, you really need to consider having someone to come in and just help you around the house. She's like, oh, I don't have the money, I can't do that. I said, yeah, but the time you're spending doing that, it takes you away from what's most important and where you can find those times to get things done at work or definitely to be with the family. So it
Yeah.
is important to incorporate a team to help you be at your greatest
Yeah.
and get the
I
rest you need.
my currency is a root canal. I'm like, I could do another root canal in an hour, and then I could probably pay for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe it's like an extra crown or just an extra consult. And what that
Mhm.
extra consult would do, probably you could get that consult done in 15 minutes, but the cleaning lady
Yeah,
could come and give you a
yeah,
whole 8 hours back on a Sunday where, you
yeah.
could hang out with your kids. So
Hang out with
it's
your kids for sure.
that might be a little mindset shift that people need to have.
Yeah. I think that's important. Just definitely how we see and perceive things and the lens we're looking through is like how we can best serve our patients, best serve our community. So I love that bit of advice.
Mhm.
And so definitely your family brings you joy. Is there anything else that we like to talk about? What brings you joy beyond dentistry?
Oh, I'm a big traveler. I love to
Ah,
just go and see the world, meet people from other cultures, eat their food, and just kind of,
mhm.
take myself out of I love my routine sometimes. Sometimes it's good to break away and just see what the world has to offer.
Yeah, wow. Well, if going back and look back, if you could tell yourself, your younger self something or share with a mentee some advice as far as the dental school journey, getting in anything to benefit them to be successful, what would you like to share with them?
I remember being very intimidated in dental school. Like there were certain
Mhm.
things that really kind of made me kind of sweat in my boots a little bit. I was really bad at extracting teeth, and I think that's why I became an endodontist, because I was like, "Girl, you better learn how to save them."
Save
You
them if
can't,
you're not gonna get rid of them.
yeah. And I was terrified in oral surgery clinic. So I remember there were so many things that wanted to shy away from. And I did. And I kind of wish I
Mhm.
had somebody who would just nudge me and say, no, just do it. Even if you don't do it great, just do it and
Mhm.
try
Mhm.
everything while you're under that umbrella of school.
That's the
Don't
time to learn.
don't be
Mhm.
scared and ask so many questions. Just ask
Yeah.
as much as you can and get the clarity that you need.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, this is great. This is so, so valuable for them. So many gems. I just want to open it up to see if there's any other questions before we wrap up this time with together. Thank you just so much for sharing your journey, just being so vulnerable and sharing your story. This always is so helpful. We just would love to know. I mean, I can already see it that the legacy that you're building now by just going, like you said, outside the four walls of your practice and reaching globally to help dentists find that confidence is really doing a service for the patients that we serve. So I see that as your legacy. Is there a legacy that you're hoping to leave?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be a role model to other women and my daughters, even my son. I'll be a role model for him too. But um, yeah, I think that when, just going back to my mission about endo, I really think a lot more teeth can be saved
Hmm.
than we think. And so my BHAG, like I said in my TED talk, is,
Yeah,
to decrease global healthcare costs by millions by saving teeth. I really think we can do that.
we really can. And oh, Luma, I didn't want to not get to you if you had another question there.
No, it's okay. The first question I had was, how do I get $100 root canal? And then
Come
and
to
then
Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll take care of you.
and then the second one, we had a colloquium talking about like the influence of AI in dentistry. And it was explained that very likely the first specialties that will be affected will be ortho and endo. What do you think about that? Like using AI for ortho and endo? Do you think it's something that for us that are students, because it gave us like the impression that like stay away from that because AI is coming after it. What is your input on that?
It's interesting because I was just talking about this. I was at a
Mm.
conference last week and I was asking like, hey, where is AI with endo? And they aren't there yet. They're not even detecting periapical pathology just yet. But I was
Mm.
given the same spiel when I was a resident when implants came on the scene. And they said endo is a dying specialty. And then, so I went through that where implants were like the number one thing. And now we're seeing the paradigm shift go back to saving teeth,
Yeah.
right? And now I've also been through a pandemic where I realized that endo is very pandemic proof. And I'm
Hmm.
looking at all this stuff. Like I'm
Mm.
looking at Chat GPT and how it's kind of scaring marketers and this and that. And I'm like, I think it's going to be really hard for something artificial to take away my skill.
Sure.
I
Hmm.
truly, truly believe that. So I am endo all the way. Not sure about ortho, but I'm endo all the way.
That's a great question, Luma. Yeah, yeah, no, that's something definitely on the forefront of a lot of minds of dentists and specialists alike. So, oh, that's great. Well, wonderful. I think we've come to the end of our conversation, but I know that people are wanting to learn more about you, especially we have some of our mentor dentists that are listening to this that may be interested in looking into e-school. Can you share how they can find more information and when you're having
Yes.
your next enrollment?
Absolutely. So there's tons of stuff you can get. So on my website, which is soniachopradds.com, that's Sonia with an I, there's tons of free informative blogs. And there's also information about eSchool. I also give a lot of free webinars that
Mm.
are endo related. So check them out. I have another one coming up March 22nd, whatever Wednesday that is. So it's coming up. It's
Oh,
all
okay.
about endo microsurgery, which is great to have an awareness of. And then my next eSchool cohort is it starts October 3rd, I believe. I do like a winter session, January, February. It's an 8-week
Mhm.
long program. And then I do another enrollment period, September, October, and that runs to about Thanksgiving. And you can sign up anytime, but the coaching cohorts start then, but you can always start the content ahead of time.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
those
you,
webinars would be great for our students to
yeah.
listen in
And
on.
it's free CE, so why not? So if you follow me on Instagram at Sonia Chopra DDS with an I, you can typically see when I'm running a free webinar, but the next one is coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, we will definitely be sharing that. And everybody, please go check out the website, check out the TED Talk, check out all your articles. Just again, Dr. Chopra, thank you so much for your time. You have
Thank
definitely
you.
shown us that there's so much that we have to offer beyond the smile, and also that if we did it, so can you. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you joining us this evening. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Beyond the Smile. If you need a dental mentor, or you would like to be a mentor, or even if you would like to support our mission to strengthen the diversity pathway from middle school to dental school, please visit our website for more information at diversityiндentistry.org. Please share this episode, subscribe to our podcast, and together we can raise the next generation of diverse leaders in dentistry. We did it, so can you.